Hello and welcome to another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
And I'm Chris Costa.
So Chris, what do you want to cover today?
Well, last time we looked at preparing the new scheduling module to get a job scheduled. Today, maybe I thought we could look at actually running a job through and putting it on the schedule.
Okay, sure. As you said, we did a video last week about setting up the scheduling module, and before you can schedule a job, you have to do that to set up your calendars and your cost centers. So, you need to refer to that video to do that first, but once that's done, we can schedule a job. So let's take a look.
Perfect.
All right, so I'm going to open the scheduling module. And once the module is open and you're looking at the Gantt view here, to schedule a job, you can click on this Schedule Jobs button, or you can come up to the File menu and click on the Schedule Jobs option here. And what that will do is bring up what we call the schedule generator. When this first comes up, you'll see a list of all of your orders. And there are some radio buttons at the top here where you can look at just orders that are already loaded in the schedule, or orders that are not loaded, or even just late orders, or on hold orders. So let's start by just scheduling this first job, 4085. To schedule a job, you just select it. And you can schedule more than one job at a time by just checking other jobs. But I'm going to just schedule this first one. So with this checked off and highlighted, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see it'll list all of the cost centers in the job with the associated times for that job. One other thing I want to show you here is there's a checkbox here for scheduling individual components. So I can schedule each of these cost centers by component number, and you'll see in this job, if I scroll down, I have 2 components. And this comes up by default because this is how I've set up my defaults under the File menu, and that was covered in last week's video. If I uncheck that, it actually puts the component at 0, combines the components, and what it will do is take all of the time for all components for this particular cost center and combine the time and schedule it as one chunk of time. And it will do that for all of the cost centers in that job. So I'm going to schedule by individual components. The other thing I wanted to note here is if you scroll over to the right a little bit, you have the Depend on Previous Operation checkbox here, which is a default on your cost center, but you may want to change that default before you schedule it. For example, this is the first process for component 2. Maybe I want to start component 1 and component 2 at the same time. I don't need the first process of component 1 being dependent on the last, of component 2 dependent on the last process of component 1. So I'm going to uncheck that. So you can check or uncheck that as needed here. Now when I'm ready, I can schedule the job by clicking on the Generate Schedule button. And when you do that, it brings up your Schedule Rules box. And these rules, the defaults you see here, can be set again under the File menu, which we covered last week. And again, they're only default, so I can change for this particular job what I want to schedule it by. I can change the sequence to go backward from the due date, or midpoint around the cost center, or leave it at the default of forward from the start date. I can also choose a different method or priority. And if I've already done some work on this job in data collections, and I'm scheduling it now after I've done work on it, I can not schedule anything that's been completed, or I can also reduce the time based on what's already been data collected. In this case, I'm just going to leave the defaults and I'm going to click OK. Now I will get a list of the cost centers in the job, and it'll show me the suggested schedule for the dates and times. I can then hit on the click on the schedule button, close the window, and the job is on my schedule. And I can double click on these bars here if I want to expand them to see them in more detail.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Now what will happen if I put a job on the schedule that's going to go beyond the due date?
Okay, let's take a look at that.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to go back into Schedule Jobs. I'm going to highlight the job again, and I'm going to right-click on it and choose Reload. And what that will do is it'll wipe out everything that's in the schedule and reload everything.
Okay.
I can then come in here and also change my due date. So if I want to change my due date out further, or if I want to move it in, I can do that. So I'm going to schedule this to be done tomorrow, which will make it late past the due date because I won't be able to fit everything so that it will be done tomorrow.
Sure.
So with that due date, I'm going to click on the Generate Schedule button. click on OK. And you'll notice on the left here that there are these status icons. If you hover over one of the icons, it will tell you why it's showing you that icon. In this case, it's saying that it's scheduled past the due date. Now, it will let you do that. The system will let you schedule past the due date, and those icons are just a warning to let you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it will schedule the time past that due date.
Sure, perfect, okay.
Then I just click on the schedule button, close the generator, and it schedules the job.
Okay.
Okay?
Now, what if I put something on the schedule and I want to move it around, I want to drag it to another time, another day?
Sure, you can do that. You don't have to reschedule the job. You can actually just take the particular item and drag and drop it right on the Gantt chart.
Okay,
Let's take a look at that.
very good.
So I have this process here starting, what is just a little after 5:30. Say I want to move it to a little after 5:40. I can click on it and just simply drag it to the time that I want it to start
Mm-hmm.
and drop it. And it will ask me, is that what you really wanted to do? And it tells me the time it's going to move it to. I'll say yes. Another thing it's doing here is it's saying, this is past when you said your calendars were, your cost centers were available. It's not in my calendars. You can see the yellow bar here that shows the time that's in my calendar ends at 6 o'clock, and I'm going past that time. But that I can do that if I want to. So it's going to ask me, do you want to continue? Say I have my guys staying a little bit late tonight to get that done.
Mm-hmm.
I can just say yes. The other thing it will do is, do you want to reschedule the rest of the job? And what that will do is, based on the change that you just made, it will look at the times everything else is scheduled past that and adjust accordingly.
Okay, excellent.
So if I click on yes here, it'll readjust the schedule, and you're done.
Okay, very good. And one other question, when I'm getting ready to put a job on the schedule, what if I don't have a process in the job, but I want to have that process in the schedule?
Sure, you can do that. So you're saying you just want to add it for scheduling purposes only, but you don't want to add it to the cost of the job?
Correct, sure, yes.
Okay, let's take a look at that. You go back up to these scheduled jobs and open the schedule generator. I'm going to highlight the job I want to do that to, and it brings up what's already been scheduled on the job. And there's a button over here for inserting items. I can click on that button, and it will bring up all my cost centers. So say I want to, in this case, add some design time that wasn't originally planned for the job. I highlight the cost center up here, the process down here, so I'm going to add this design process. I click on select. And it can also tell, do I want to add it to all components or just a particular component? And I'm going to choose component 1 for the cover. Select that. And then it adds the process here in the schedule. And the other thing I can do is I can change the time. So say I want to put a half an hour of time in for that particular process. I enter that here. Click on Generate Schedule. And you see it adds the time up here. It couldn't fit the whole time today, so it put part of it today and part of it for tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm.
I click on Generate Schedule. Close the window. And now it's added that time here and moved everything accordingly.
Sure, okay, very good. Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I think that was excellent.
Well,
Very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
And I'm Chris Costa.
Please look forward to more episodes on new scheduling to follow.